the film that became a smash hit. The smash hit that became an award winner. The award winner that became a classic. This is one gladiator that defied an empire, and one film that defied a long-dead genre and conquered.
Are you not entertained?
So why was Gladiator such a huge success? And why, 15 years on, does it remain so highly regarded? Nearly $500 million at the box office and several Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Actor for its leading man, Russell Crowe, who was catapulted to megastar status after the film's release. It's an epic, in the old sense of the word. A spectacle with its huge opening battle scenes, immense visual scope, its plot and characters having effects on the world at large, the type of film that studios used to hang their hopes on. Gladiator is a throwback to the historical events movies, with classic elements such as chariots, sword fights, dramatic heroes, scene-stealing villains and political intrigue and treachery. As even more time passes, Gladiator will be included in the Legends Hall of Fame, along with other such greats as Spartacus, Cleopatra, Zulu and Ben-Hur. It's the type of film that movie screens were created for, the reason CinemaScope was invented. A film that entertains on home video, but blows you away on the big screen. It has classic quotable lines, iconic images that everyone recognises, amazing actors giving truly epic performances. I promise, I'll keep the E word to a minimum. It's grand, it's vast, it's exciting. And we could just leave it there. But let's not.
At my signal, unleash hell.
Now, I cannot lie to you. I love Gladiator. Really love it. It's in my top 5 movies. In fact, my top 3, if you count Lord of the Rings as one movie. Maximus is my hero. And Mr. Crowe, well, let's just say that having had the pleasure of being up close and personal with him, he certainly knows how to set pulses racing. And while Gladiator has those elements that makes it equitable to the big classic screen giants, it's also very much a different beast. The film centres on its title character almost entirely. After winning a crucial battle for the Roman Empire, an achievement he is clearly familiar with, Maximus is told by the Emperor Marcus Aurelius that he wishes Maximus to succeed him and turn Rome back into a republic, robbing his less than desirable but highly ambitious son Commodus of his birthright to become the next emperor. When Marcus informs his son of his decision, Commodus breaks down and kills his father before his wishes can be made a proclamation. Maximus must of course be silenced, so Commodus orders him to be taken away and executed. Being the skilled warrior he is, Maximus turns his would-be murderers into crow fodder instead and takes off in order to return home to Spain, desperate to reach his family before the threat of their deaths can also be carried out. However, when he arrives, he discovers his wife and young son have been crucified and burned alive. Maximus is destroyed, his family murdered, his career is gone, his life is in ruins. Burying his loved ones, he lies down beside their graves, nothing more to live for. His lifeless body picked up by a passing slave caravan, Maximus is then sold to Proximo, a man making his living providing fighters for inferior provincial gladiatorial games. At first refusing to even raise a wooden sword, Maximus eventually rises to become the most successful gladiator in the tournaments, a result of his military skills and perhaps even a desensitization to death. Back in Rome, the new Emperor Commodus orders 150 days of games to honour his father, seeing Proximo and his men called to the city to participate.
So finally, after 5 years of scratching a living in flea-infested villages, we're finally going back to where we belong. The Colosseum.
In one of the film's most iconic scenes, Proximo reveals to Maximus how he was once a gladiator of the Colosseum, who won his freedom from Marcus Aurelius. Seeing his opportunity to meet and exact his revenge on Commodus, Maximus vows to win the crowd.
I will win the crowd. I will give them something they've never seen before.
The first, and clearly intended final battle for Proximo's men, is the reenactment of the infamous Battle of Zama. Maximus and his team are armed with no more than spears and shields against archery warriors in armoured chariots. Employing his military tactics, he becomes the general once again and leads his team to a triumphant victory. So spectacular is the triumph that an impressed Commodus enters the arena to personally congratulate the mysterious Spaniard.
Rise. Rise. Your fame is well-deserved, Spaniard. I don't think there's ever been a gladiator to match you.
Cue the most iconic scene in the film.
Slave! Will you remove your helmet and tell me your name?
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix Legions, loyal servant to the true emperor, Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance, in this life or the next.
A shocked Commodus, believing this man to be dead at his order, wants him dispatched immediately, but Maximus has won the crowd, and they want him to live. Now desperate to have Maximus killed, Commodus arranges a gladiatorial match between him and retired and undefeated gladiator Tigrus of Gaul. Complete with live tigers to contend with as well, Maximus still manages to overpower Tigrus. Commodus orders his death, but Maximus refuses. Humiliated and furious, Commodus enters the arena once again and torments Maximus with sordid details of his family's deaths. In response, Maximus turns his back in silence and walks away. During the early scenes back on the smouldering battlefields of Germania, we met Marcus's daughter Lucilla, with whom Maximus has some undefined history, although they have not seen each other for many years.
Do you know, I still remember you in my prayers. Oh yes, I pray.
The game starts to shift gear during a chance meeting with his old servant Cicero, and Maximus learns that his old legion is still loyal to him and camped nearby. Lucilla and the candid Senator Gracchus meet in secret with Maximus, where it's agreed that Maximus will kill Commodus, his troops will gain entry to the city, and upon taking it, he will hand power over to the Senate. Ever suspicious, Commodus deduces a plot is afoot, and through threatening to murder Lucilla's son, his nephew, uncovers the conspiracy. Maximus's attempts are foiled in a blood-soaked attack on the gladiator quarters, resulting in the deaths of Cicero, Proximo, and many of his fellow gladiators. Maximus is captured and is now at the mercy of his greatest enemy. Commodus tells the chained Maximus that he will fight him in the arena.
It could be more glorious than to challenge the emperor himself in the great arena.
Before Maximus can relish the thought of finally killing his adversary, Commodus stabs him in the side and orders the wound to be concealed by his armour. And thus ensues a tense and strangulated battle as a greatly weakened Maximus attempts to evade Commodus's sword. Managing to disarm the emperor, the pair comes together in combat. In a final act of duplicity, Commodus pulls a dagger from his sleeve, and in the final show of strength, Maximus turns the blade on its owner and drives it into his neck. His vengeance exacted, our hero falls. The film closes with Maximus reunited with his wife and son in the afterlife, the scene mirroring the opening images of him walking through the wheat fields. In fact, this shot at the beginning seems to symbolise Maximus's ultimate destiny, death. So, why is it not so easy to class Gladiator as a standard style of classic film? Well, let's look at the main man himself, his motivations. Try as you might to elaborate on the other plot lines of Gladiator, the political dealings, the possibility that Lucilla's son is actually Maximus's, the love triangle between Commodus and his sister. The true story and the only force of the film is Maximus's desire to kill Commodus. However, he is not cruel or vicious, as demonstrated when he decides against killing Commodus in front of the emperor's young nephew. He has no need for growth as far as sympathy and compassion goes. Maximus has no desire for other women. He never betrays his wife, even though many would have been happy to see him with Lucilla. But no, he is devoted for eternity to his wife. He has nothing to learn to be a better soldier. He's already proven as a great general in battle, and now as a solo warrior, able to best any opponent. His pose on the film's poster is one of contemplation, in shadow. His sword is drawn, but not raised. He is beloved by his troops, neither cruel nor selfish. He is brave in battle and skillful. He only hurts those who wrong him, and he is driven purely by love until that is taken away, but it slowly returns to rid him of his darker thoughts. This rugged hero with stubble, not a beard, and a slight tan, perhaps that's the point of the film. Maybe Gladiator, at the end of the day, is the ultimate chick flick. And what made it ultimately legendary is that thousands of boys went to see it and loved it too. It worked for Titanic, a love story crammed between an action disaster film. Here we have a fantasy man thrown into a fight-to-the-death movie. Yet he dies. Our hero dies. He doesn't sacrifice himself to save another. He does rid Rome of Commodus, but death is the only outcome after he does this. Even so, Maximus doesn't lose his life. He simply doesn't want it anymore. He is a man with no interest in our world anymore. He is the man back at the freshly dug graves of his family, waiting to join them. Ridley Scott has a track record for somewhat ambiguous endings. Take Alien, Blade Runner, Thelma and Louise as examples. At the start of the film, when we see Maximus in the grass, it is Elysium, as he fantasises of being out of this world, as he knows one day he will be. Does he believe that he has no hope of ever seeing his family again? That this battle could be his last? Despite the statements and requests he makes to Marcus, Maximus expects to die, never seeing his son again. So he wishes to be in the one place he thinks he can be happy. From the start of the film, his only chance of being with his family is for them all to die. It's a sad indictment of the world he lives in, and doesn't really present a metaphor for modern life, save for the elements of celebrity power Maximus gains and how appealing to the populace can reap you certain rewards. So with such a downbeat theme, cheerless ending and dour leading character with a negative attitude, why does the film rouse the audience and get them so engaged? Maybe, like the people of Rome who scream and cheer at the games, knowing that most of these men will end up dead, they see a chance for glory, for freedom and for happiness. We want Maximus to succeed. We want him to be happy and to rid us of the tyrant. His failure is no surprise to us, but we want him to win. We hope against hope. Maximus does leave the world a better place at the end. The film doesn't make an attempt to be philosophical in its end scene, but I don't think that was necessary. The remaining characters appear heartbroken by Maximus's death, but like the audience, it's going to take more than Lucilla's stirring words to heal us.
Is Rome worth one good man's life? We believed it once. Make us believe it again.
Maximus may not learn or grow in this film, but those around him do. And that's why the film is called Gladiator, not Maximus. Because while we watch Maximus's story, it's the story of those who he inspires and affects, particularly Juba, who is the most active in keeping Maximus pushing forward, hoping he can make it through the pain and create a future. The film in many ways is about inevitability, how the road you are on leads to an outcome, but it's also about how you can change your path if you wish. The general who became a slave, the slave who became a gladiator, the gladiator who became the saviour of Rome.
I'm Maximus, the savior of Rome.
Yet, as his life alters direction, Maximus alters his course, leading him to the place he wishes his life to lead, death. So maybe it isn't that we idolise Maximus or want to be him, it's just that his impact is so great you can't help but get involved. And then wrap it all up in sword fights and galloping horses and action to create an epic. The CGI and effects, while stunning when used, don't dominate the film. In fact, the big shot is used exactly where the film needs it to be, to drop the jaws. So the film rests firmly on the shoulders of its cast, and of course mainly Russell Crowe, who plays it with the right amount of, well, everything. Confidence, brooding angst, heroism, leadership, passion, and of course dramatic effect. He's a rounded character, but we never truly get to know what makes him tick beyond his family. That's not a flaw of the film, it simply adds to the mystery of the man. The film is not really about Maximus per se, but rather about this gladiator who changed things, and to walk that line between overplayed emotion and vague caricature is not easy. Maximus is more like Bogart than Burton. Gladiator reawakened Hollywood to the historical epic, although whether it's been matched since in all tick boxes is debatable. Troy, King Arthur, possibly 300. What I do know is Gladiator is an engaging story, beautifully shot, brilliantly acted. It gets a thumbs up from me.